deadline has come and gone. Here are the most notable deals. The Lions acquired Za'Darius Smith to help fill the void left by Aiden Hutchinson at defensive end. I'm feeling good about these Lions. Detroit's pass rush, win rate and pressure rate have both dropped since Hutchinson was lost for the season, so they're going all in. The Commanders, meanwhile, addressed a need in their secondary by picking up cornerback Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints. Since entering the NFL in 2017, Lattimore has broken up the third most passes in the league. Lastly, Pittsburgh traded for Mike Williams from the Jets. Williams excels in contested catches according to Next Gen Stats. He leads the league in receiving yards on tight window throws since entering the NFL. All this knowledge I'm dropping on you.
Dropping them.
Try to keep up. Looking at the season's notable trades, which featured a high-profile trio of wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins joined the undefeated Chiefs. Devontae Adams reunited with Aaron Rodgers in New York. And Amari Cooper made his way to the Buffalo Bills. It is Wednesday, so Christopher Mad Dog Russo is here.
The dog.
Now we got the haters, baby.
The haters back.
Back in town. That's side.
There he is.
Yes.
In Carolina blue. Well, not really. Dog, what's the biggest trade this season?
Well, it's not Jonathan Mingo to Dallas for 4-round pick.
You're hilarious.
It ain't that. I think it's Hopkins myself. I think that, the Chiefs are going to be a great team anyway. An extra wide receiver for them helped. He had a big game against Tampa.
Yeah.
Thank you, Todd Bowles, by the way. The 2-point conversion. He had a big game against Tampa the other day. I like Cooper too, but I think I'm going to go with the receiver. I don't think Mike Williams. Maybe you guys think that. I don't think Lattimore to Washington. I actually even don't think the Lions. I think they had a good chance to win the NFC anyway. But I do think that this addition of Hopkins, we saw it on Monday night. You give Mahomes an extra little plaything. He's got Kelsey there who had 13 catches, with, what was it, 13?
14 for 100.
catches,
Yeah.
okay. He had a great game the other night. I think this balances out their offense. So to me, Jeffrey, it's going to be Hopkins to the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm going to disagree with you to some degree because I'm going to bring into account Za'Darius Smith, who the Lions acquired yesterday. I mean, this guy's, listen, he can get it done. You need an edge rusher, particularly with the absence of Hutchinson. And then you got to look at the level of production that the Lions have been putting forth. Right now, it's the best team in the NFC. When we see the way that Jared Goff is playing, you can make a legitimate argument, as I have, that he is a leading candidate for league MVP honors with the kind of numbers that he is putting up, the level of accuracy over the last 6 games or so. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I'm just looking at some of this doggy right here. 6-game winning streak for the Lions. He's got the highest completion percentage at 82.8 and a passer rating of 140.1 for any quarterback in any 6-game span in NFL history. You got dual threats at the running back spots in Montgomery and Gibbs. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown as a wideout. Jameson Williams in these brothers. Laporte at your tight end spot. Yeah. I'm just looking at the bevy of weapons that they have, the culture that has been that's been infused by Dan Campbell. And then your defense got better, and then the only thing you're missing is the fact that Hutchinson was down, and you go out and you get Za'Darius Smith. I think the Lions are the clear favorites in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl and possibly win it because you're looking at them right now, and from a balanced perspective, you don't see any weaknesses.
Yeah, and you miss, honestly, the best part of the Detroit Lions offense, which is offensive line.
Right.
They're unreal. They are unreal. They've made they are playing lights out. They have really done well. But I will say from the trade perspective, if you see which team I think is going to give them a better chance to win the Super Bowl, the Hopkins trade to Kansas City, to me, is the best trade. And here is why. Kansas City understands they have a style that they have to win like. And their offense is not as nearly as explosive as Detroit's. They don't have that, Pacheco was hurt, so they bring in Hunt, who has been more than serviceable and played very good. They have a good offensive line, but they were limited at the wide receiver position. And with the injuries that kept mounting, they go out and get D-Hop. Here's the thing about the Chiefs. They have the highest time of possession in the NFL, plus 6 minutes. Yo, that's a lot of time, and that's a lot of drives. Why do they have that? They have the best, to me, they have the best defense in the NFL. And now you're coupling that with another possession receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, plus red zone. It is opening up Travis Kelce, and it will open up other players on this football team because he's a big body. And by the way, he's QB friendly. What does that mean? He understands when routes get cut out, transition, let's make something else happen. I'm going to give you a big body on the red zone, on the goal line. You can throw that quick slant in. And if you think about the way that Patrick Mahomes takes advantage of his weapons, that is the kind of move that takes you up. To Stephen A's point, the Lions are the best team in the NFC by far, in my opinion. They have played lights out. The Za'Darius Smith pickup He can play every position on the defensive line. They have defensive tackles that can push the pocket. They got to have a closer. Both the number one team in AFC and NFC got better than everybody else. That's a pretty impressive trade deadline, in my opinion.
It's an excellent point. Last year, Detroit played Kansas City in week 1 of the season. Detroit beat them. I wanted to see that rematch. Detroit got burned because of Campbell in the Super Bowl in the NFC Championship game. This year, I think you're going to see it. I think right now, I know there's better teams in the AFC, but I think right now Detroit and Kansas City will get a chance to play in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Be a good game.
Be a great game.
Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders.
Ooh.
How big is this move?
Massive.
How far do you feel they can go?
Okay, so the same way with Detroit, they want to play kind of man press on the back end, right, and be aggressive. That's what Dan Quinn wants to do. He's got the horses up front to rush the passer, but people have gotten big plays down the field. Lattimore's going to be a latchet, whether they put him on 1 or 2, he can basically close the side off, and he's a ball hawk. Both things Dan Quinn likes for his defense. And so what you're given the ability is that front to get pressure on them without the deep shots coming. So the Lattimore pickup for Washington, I think, is a really big one because Dan Quinn wants this style of player. Lattimore hit a home run. By leaving New Orleans, going to the Commanders, Commanders got a favorable schedule. They're going to be in the hunt because of Jaden Daniels and his offense, but that is a significant pickup for Dan Quinn on that defensive side.
I think psychologically it's tremendous. Didn't everybody say last week that they all wanted to go play in Washington?
Yes.
They're 7-2.
Absolutely.
Daniels has played great. You made a good point. Easy schedule, 2 games with the Eagles.
Yep.
And now if you're in that locker room, you've been there.
Yeah.
You got 4, and you bring, wow, we got Lattimore?
Absolutely.
And it makes you think that this is a special thing.
Yeah.
So I think psychologically, you gave the actual X's and O's, I think psychologically.
Your boy Magic Johnson having himself a year between the Dodgers
For
and
real.
now Washington.
That's a good point.
He's part of the Washington group as well.
I remember when
Well,
Magic asked to say hello.
I would remind you that the Lakers have been losing as of late, so let's calm down.
The Dodgers just won
Stephen A,
it.
the
and
Dodgers just
Commanders
won it, and Jaden Daniels came out of nowhere.
Magic is Magic.
Yeah.
There's only one Magic Johnson. The Magic Man is that dude. However, I don't care what he's involved with. He will never be synonymous with anything more than the Lakers. And the Lakers.
The season's 2 weeks old. Talk about the good stuff.
Okay, can I transition to something else, or do you want to add to this conversation?
I want to add to the conversation in terms of what Doggy brought up and Mr. Sergeant Friday.
Sure.
Which way are you going to look at it? The fact that there was a new acquisition by the Washington Commanders that sort of inspires and upgrades them, etc. Or are you going to look at an Eagles squad that has been flowing along very nicely, winners of 4 straight, Saquon Barkley himself being an MVP candidate the way he's been balling, A.J. Brown back, Devontae Smith there, okay? You got Jalen Hurts there. Their offensive line ain't too damn shabby themselves, and the defense are improvement. So, again, there's changes that have come Washington's way, which has upgraded them, and they've been playing fine, and you give them credit where credit is due. Need a Hail Mary to beat Chicago, however. But you look at the Philadelphia Eagles.
No doubt.
We've been complaining about Sirianni because of knuckleheaded decisions he might make. But when you look at how they've been balling on the field, that level of continuity and seamlessness is something I don't think we can ignore.
It's the number one risk factor for the Detroit Lions. Right. If this Eagle team gets hot and plays, because the style they're playing now, they're running 40-plus times a game for almost 200 yards. You're seeing play action with max protection for Jalen Hurts with A.J. Brown, you mentioned, and Devontae Smith. You're talking about Goddard. You're talking about Saquon Barkley. He's probably the most – he is an Offensive Player of the Year candidate himself. This team is – and their defense has given up 4 touchdowns in 4 weeks. Why? Because that complementary football. They're holding the ball, not exposing their defense. They are a major threat to the Detroit Lions for sure. That's a great point.
All right. Good. Old Blue Eyes on his A game this morning.
Yeah, he's sharp for change.
You did. Yeah,
I'm ready,
what's
dog.
going
on? Win this
How much coffee? How much coffee did you have?
Keep talking now.